This is Dawnita from PrairieDoesTrail.com. I thought it might be a good idea to do a little bit of an introductory video. Hopefully the wind isn't too bad. It's not real bad right now. We've had just a little bit of a dust storm kind of going on. So hopefully it won't cover up the microphone too terribly much. I thought a little bit of an introduction for some of the new subscribers that have been coming on. Howdy, y'all. It's nice to have you. I'm a fifth generation Oklahoma Panhandle pioneer. So, living out here in Dust Bowl territory, we've been kind of in a second Dust Bowl for the last 15 years, it seems like. Contrails and things. Anyway, all the cloud seeding just seems to be kind of skipping over us and causing it to rain somewhere else other than here. Anyway, I had an interesting question. Well, kind of a topic that came up the other day, and somebody said something about gravity, and gravity ends up being one of these, well, what about gravity? It's kind of an automatic response. And I had just had a conversation with my husband, Paul, and it was really good, and we got to density and buoyancy. Density and buoyancy. So somebody said something about it, and I don't go just shoving things down other people's throats, but and I said, density and buoyancy, and they said, well, what's density and buoyancy? And the person was being a little sarcastic with me, and I knew it, and I also knew that this person really didn't want an in-depth, explanation of density and buoyancy. They were just, well, what about that? And people do that on a regular basis. Whenever they run into something that they're either not interested or they're not ready. It happens. And we're not all at the same place in our growth. And that's okay. So, buoyancy is kind of what makes things, float and sink. And it depends on so many things. It depends on the density of the mass of the object, or the air that is in it, or substances that are in it, that it contains, its ingredients. It also depends on temperature and wind, velocity that it's moving. A bullet is going to have a different buoyancy happening whenever it's flying through the air at that kind of a velocity, even though it's pretty dense, compared to, popping a balloon off toward one of the children to catch, or blowing bubbles for them. So, it depends on all of those things all at the same time. So you can't really say that this hypothetical thing that nobody can explain and nobody knows what it is the answer for everything, because there's no way. You have to make assumptions for all of those things. If this is your answer all, then you're making an assumption that it's going to work no matter what the the temperature and the density and the aerodynamics of a situation. There's just so many things to have to think about, and having this catch-all thing, it's handy, but and it makes them feel smart. So I get it. Sometimes I like to feel smart. Most of the time I think the smarter I get, the dumber I am. I think that's called humility, and we all need a dose of it occasionally. So I have really appreciated Shelley from There's No Place Like Home joining in the discussion at with the Tin Hat Talks that I've been having. And we are planning to do them every other week. We're homeschool moms, so every week's a lot, and we are talking on a regular basis. And Debbie is starting to add. She's added a new part of her blog that is a biblical anomalies, which Debbie's just a very in-depth, very intelligent person, and she's got a list of qualifications 10 miles long. So it would take a whole video for her to just explain all of the qualifications that she's got. So very, very intelligent people that I've been able to surround myself with here, and we're having a lot of fun with this. Going through, we've got different ideas about different things and different theories. So we're all kind of been reading some of the same books. Dr. Michael Heiser, Timothy Alberino's Birthright, which I was getting a little frustrated with, so I had to set that one down. Last night I picked up Gary Wayne's Genesis 6 Conspiracy. I like his Christian contrarian, I don't consider myself a Christian. I consider myself a Bible believer. The word Christian, we could go into a whole rabbit trail on that one. So I don't consider myself, I don't call myself a Christian. I am a born again believer. And I believe the Bible from cover to cover. And, there are some places in there that are interesting to think about and to put, to study out, because some of it doesn't seem to line up or make sense. But whenever we really start studying and going back to the culture at the time and the time period and all of the background, then we get more out of it. So, and then I've also started, I was raised New Age. So I was not raised in the church. I did give my heart to the Lord at a very young age, around 5 or 6 years old, at a vacation Bible school. So I had Jesus in my heart all that time, but, didn't always live it. My mom was a hippie, and we won't talk about the other one, but, some really rough stuff happened, and you can check out my blog if you want to check that out. And some of it, everybody's got some good things and some bad things in their past, so I'm no different there. But I ended up marrying a preacher's son, and his parents just lovingly loved me into the Bible and really learning more. And his dad was a very deep Bible scholar, I guess you would call, say that he just really studied. David Carrico at FOJC Radio and Now You See TV really reminds us a lot of Paul's dad and Paul's uncles and stuff that studied the Bible like that and had, really nice libraries, which we inherited. So we've got some really nice stuff. But having been raised New Age, once we started homeschooling, we've homeschooled from the beginning since about 1995. And I cleaned house, got rid of the crystal balls and the tarot cards and all that kind of stuff. And we just studied Bible. I found of course that was before the internet, I got quite a bit of silver sprinkles going on in my hair. So I had to, write to a few Christian schools to ask about curriculum and books and stuff for us to figure out what we were doing. And so I picked up a Mennonite curriculum, actually, Rod and Staff. And I liked it because the reading was Bible. So in grade school, they go through the Bible a couple of times, and it was really nice. Just basic black and white pictures, nothing snazzy, fancy. I bought most of my books used, and just really, really enjoyed that. We started out with Konos, like Shelley, I think, uses. But it didn't work well for us out here in the rural community. Our libraries didn't have the books I needed to keep that going. So I ended up doing a lot of my own Bible study, or our own unit studies. And as a matter of fact, I wrote one. I had done one on the constellations, and friends were wanting me to publish it so that they could use it as well. And I've had more adults actually buy that for adult Bible studies and independent study than homeschoolers, because homeschoolers kind of tend to be afraid of the constellations, unfortunately. There's a big difference between astrology and astronomy, and the constellations are the same no matter your cosmology. So if you're heliocentric or if you're a biblical cosmologist, the constellations are the same. As a matter of fact, the constellations are part of what kind of proves that heliocentricity doesn't really work. But I can go into that another time if you guys would like me to. Anyway, so you can find me on Amazon. And I made a color book to go with it because I didn't like the Greek and Roman pictures of the constellations for my children, so I drew my own, and they're much more modest and biblically based. And so the color book's for free if you sign up for the newsletter on prairie-trail.com. You can have that color book for free. And we're just publishing a magazine. So if you're interested in learning how to get more preparedness and to live a little bit more sustainable in a common sense and biblical way with biblical principles, then the Prairie Trail magazine is also available now. It's a quarterly e-publication. It's not print yet. Maybe one of these days we can do that. But right now it just comes in your email box. It's a PDF. We had like 37 pages, I think, in this last one. We had a couple of permaculturists. I speak Okie, guys. And some gardening tips. We had some history. And of course, I've got to put some tin hat stuff in there. So there was a little bit on that. Geoengineering was the one that I went into with that particular one. And how to accumulate, how to get your own salt out in the wilderness. And some hunting. And I mean, I'm just trying to think what all we had in it. Recipes, of course, and one article on how to bless your children. So just kind of a nice variety of things. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, but Mother Earth News and some of those other ones are a little hoo-hoo for you, then this might be a good one. Anyway, I was trying to decide what I would do. I do a lot of sewing. We've got, you can see the cattle in the background. We've got a few. We don't have a real big piece of land. It's bigger than what most people realize, but out here in Oklahoma, in northwest Oklahoma, you have to have a pretty large piece of land to have very much of a herd. So we've got goats and golden retrievers and our two little house Shih Tzus that keep our feet warm at night, and rabbits, and anyway, we just got some baby turkeys, and we've got some chicken eggs in the incubator. So we've got quite a bit going on. My husband is an electrical contractor. He works mostly in the oil field, and so he hooks up, the bigger generators and electrical systems and stuff, so we can actually be off grid here. But right now diesel's kind of high, so and we aren't really into the wind, and Oklahoma, isn't always conducive to large solar situations. So we do use solar for like a hot fence or something like that. But anyway, we've got a little greenhouse. We're fixing to put a new top on and get that going. I've got a tower garden in the house that I think we're going to move out to the greenhouse and try to get that going. So we're, trying to get ready for spring. I don't believe it is spring quite yet, even though it's, about 70 degrees today. We're supposed to have snow on Thursday. So it's Oklahoma. It can be all 4 seasons plus an extra just to throw it in all in one day. And that's how we roll out here. So I hope this is, a little bit of an introduction of what you're getting into whenever you come over here to Prairie Trail. You're going to get the whole shebang. Homeschooling, crafting, farming, ranch, and a whole lot of tin hat stuff. Yeah, we're going to be talking about some fun stuff. I mean, we've got people out here or people that come out here to this area to hunt dogman. We've had Bigfoot sightings out here. We've had UFO sightings. Our children, Shelly at No Place Like Home mentioned that her children had seen dragons. Our children have seen dragons as well. My husband had actually got some on camera, and we're trying to find the pictures. So there's a lot out here. Cowboys kind of keep things pretty hush-hush sometimes, but if you can get them to talking, yeah, they all believe. So anyway, that's kind of introduction and welcome. And I hope that you find something useful here and enjoyable. And if you come to nitpick, be forewarned, I'm kind of a scrapper. So, yeah, I'll meet you toe to toe. So,